Hello everyone, it is POK here again, Peter Olawale. How are you doing? It's another time on Get Your Life Together podcast, and of course, I have a general here with me today. Somebody I respect, somebody I kind of hold in high esteem. Personally for me, I told you always, I didn't just get here myself. You are 5% of everybody you meet. And the day I got that, the day I understood the meaning of that, I started associating myself with top people that know what's happening, people that actually doing it. You know, of course, on Get Your Life Together podcast, I emphasize on being a doer in as much as you want to talk, but you actually must be a bigger doer, somebody that put the things he's saying to work. And that's why I'm bringing a general, like I said, on Get Your Life Together podcast today. And it's because of my men, you my guys out there, my soldiers out there. You know, the other day I brought two ladies to talk about women and then issues surrounding marriage and all. But today, I felt there's a whole lot of guys, my guys that need to understand a whole lot about men. You need to understand how to be a better leader in your marriage. You need to understand leadership. You need to understand team spirit and teamwork. You need to understand everything as far as manhood and then masculinity and all. You know, we are in the trend of masculinity. Everybody putting out their stuff out there. Everybody wants to be a low budget Andrew Tate. You get, but of course, you need to really understand what it means and then learn from people that will give you the truth. They give you the truth because they are not there out there to use your engagement for let me say Elon Musk money or sell some books to you. They'll just tell you the truth because it is the truth, basically. And that's on that note, I'll be introducing my guest, Princell Akuma. We call him Akuma on Twitter. How are you doing, boss?
I'm fine. Hi, everyone. Princewill here. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Princewill. First of all, we are discussing the topic navigating life's journey, challenges and growth for men. I intentionally wanted you to talk about men because one of the things that drew me to your page on Twitter was how you actually undo things. For example, there was a day that actually pointing out that men should look at older men, should draw closer to them and understand them, pick the things you think they did right, and then try to correct their wrongs. Instead of just saying older men are bad, older men don't know anything, and then you are the all unknowing. And that's why I said you are the best person for this. I don't know where that kind of instinct drew from. Maybe we start from there.
Okay. So that kind of instinct grew from, I would say, family. I was very, very close to I was very young, but I was very close to my grandfather in the late 80s before he died. Anytime, I traveled with my mom, he would force me to taste Guinness. I can remember the bitter taste of Guinness. My now late grandmother, may God rest her soul, who passed in late December 2022, would be quarreling with him that, oh, you're spoiling this boy, don't give him Guinness. When he's eating, there's a traditional meal Igbo people eat, it's called oba and nkwobi, but he likes oba and sometimes with goat meat, sometimes with very soft pomo and all those sort of things, and his fresh palm wine. He would make sure I had a bite of it. So I think that that experience with him drew up to other experiences I had with other men around me growing up. Some of them were my mom's siblings, some of them were, friends of those my mom's siblings, things I saw them doing and conversations I've had with. And I think that sort of relationship I had with really elderly people that were in my space made me that when I was growing up, while I was having a balance of young people that were my mates as well, I had a lot of old people around me. I can mention a lot of names. Obviously not everybody will know them. These are some of them are really private people. But at every point in my growth, whether it was in early days into uni, whether it was when I was living with my auntie, who's now late, her husband, he played a role. Whether it was when I was, being sort of a worker in church back in the day, where I had a team mentor in the media department. We used to call him Dede Polinos, who was really always about you being on time. If you are eating and it's few minutes to the time you need to do something, either you pour the food inside your mouth at one go and swallow it, or you drop the food and go sort of do what you have to do. And a couple, other older folks everywhere I have grown through. This has been something that's consistent. So I've sort of sat with them, listened to their conversations, heard them, and saw that there was something there as well. That's been some of the things that shaped some of my opinions as a growing man as well myself.
Wow, that's very relatable for me personally, because a whole lot of my friends are older than me.
Yeah, absolutely,
a
absolutely.
whole lot of my friends, everyone,
Yes.
people I drove very close to, they're older than me. My best friend is about 4 years older than me, and then
Yes,
I'm very
absolutely.
close to my dad. I think
Yeah.
that's also helping me actually.
Yeah, yes, because they say that experience is a good teacher. But I think that one mistake we'll make is that experience doesn't have to be your own. It doesn't have to be your own mistake. You can learn from their experience and avoid making that mistake. Or even when you do make a new set of mistakes, it's not that particular one that they've made. So yes, that's something I would say.
Yes, yes. Speaking about mistakes, what are those mistakes you are seeing recently as a trend about young men?
Um, so I think it will be so many, to be honest. I know that or on social media in men groups, a lot of people mouth about men not opening up a lot. I think that will be one, but again, I think that doesn't come from just out of thin air. There's a history with it. There's cultural history with it. There's things that have shaped you to that place where maybe as a young man, maybe or as a growing man, you want to or even maybe family that you grew up with, you found out that nobody listened to you more, so you kind of carried everything. And maybe when you're complaining about things that are happening to you, people will tell you to stomach it. You're a man. I think that having said that, that's one major mistake as men that people make. You don't speak up. Speaking up sometimes isn't being taken out of that problem. I think that's the mistake people. It's seeking a different perspective. It's also knowing that sometimes letting things out of your mind can also help you think. But it's also understanding that not everybody needs to hear what you have to speak. So don't hold all your emotions in. And that mistake now carries a lot of people into their personal relationships with some of their fellow men. I have had men that I am close to. They have a challenge, and this is a challenge that maybe the group of men around them can actually hand lift them and take them out. And they're there struggling for the next 1 year. They are trying to be man. They're trying to, bro. We're brothers. We're not competing. It's something that we can do. We can lift each other up. A different one would be keeping it. You're going through a problem in a relationship and it's your fault, right? But because you feel, oh, I'm a man, you haven't shared that experience with, again, the close knit group of people that are wise enough to give you the right sort of counsel. You don't share that. And I have an example where someone was going through a very early stage marriage threatening situation where it could have led to them going apart. But a simple wisdom, a guy that had married 3 days earlier than him, just when he finally opened up to the guy and said it, told him is why his marriage is going on right now over 5 years strong and all of that. So that's one. So being able to open up, always thinking that as men that, because you're a man, you're right. Being right or wrong has nothing to do with our gender.
No,
Also, yeah,
you
go
know,
ahead.
you know something. Yeah, speaking about opening up, there's
Yeah,
something I personally observed today, and I
yeah,
was telling my wife like, I observed this thing, and then I observed it's going on. Now this is it.
yeah.
Majority of young men, they complain about women not giving them maybe the answer they want to hear, or maybe
Okay,
not being a problem solver. Okay, let's say I told you I have an idea in my head. I have an idea in my head I want to carry out. And then they will say the only reply my partner gave me was, it's a good idea, it's nice, it's fine. That they shouldn't have tell them if that's the only thing women can offer. And I just observed the trend because I've seen it from people just going
okay.
around. But I don't know what you have to say about that. Because I got it from what you just said now, that actually opening up doesn't mean the person you are telling must provide a solution. It might just be maybe another perspective, or the fact that you are lifting yourself out of it. Maybe just expressing yourself makes you a little more relieved. But I know you have something to say about that when it comes to opening up to your partner and all.
So we again, I was even going to go there eventually. Thank God you've brought us there. We opening up with your partner, right?
Yeah.
Again, like you said, it's about perspective, right? So you tell something to someone, they are not a powerhouse, they are not a professional, they're not maybe a consultant in that area, and they really look at it and say, oh, this is really good, right? What that gives you is, should I start digging at this thing? So maybe who do I reach out to in my networks that I can, ask? Maybe because I'm seeking information, should I go ahead and do this thing? Now you're no longer going to ask them, should I or should I not do? You're trying to say, oh, maybe you want to launch a business. You say, hey, what do you know about this business? What do you think are the latest trends? Those are now the kind of questions you're going to be asking at that level. It's sort of a certain level of self-pride for you to ask someone something and they give you a genuine feedback based on what they know, and then you go back, say they shouldn't have said anything. You wanted maybe a deeper insight from them. But again, did you create the environment for them to be able to give you a deeper insight, right? If you think it was something, really, really deep, maybe also that the way you ask the question, the mood you've created around how you ask the question, if it's something that is really deep, you really want to have a deep conversation, maybe you can tell the person to say, hey, please, I really need to have a deep conversation, or this is something I'm thinking about. Please, can you think about it? Don't answer me right now. Think about it. I want us to have a conversation about it later. And then both of you can sit down, maybe over a bottle of drink, over, really a good mood where maybe you've gone out your back, you're rested, or you set a date to go somewhere and sit down and have conversations without a distraction. If you ask someone a question in passing, when both of you are rushing, things are happening side by side, the answer they give you will be different where you're lying in bed, or you're sitting over a table over a drink, or even you go out and eat after a good meal and then you start having heart conversations about that, or even you send a WhatsApp message and then set a time to have a call for the next 10-20 minutes. Maybe it's a distant relationship, maybe you're not in the same location, and you pick up a phone and really have a call, the answer will be different. So I think the person should prioritize how they are setting the tone to be able to get the answer maybe they feel they deem fit, and then building up on that insight, that is a bit more structural to them being able to do that thing and manifest those things a bit better would be my answer.
That's good. That's good. Anytime I see those kind of thing on Twitter, it takes me back. I actually want to know. Yeah, because I actually think, if you tell me an idea, for example, something about crypto or Web3, I have nothing about it. I would just say, okay, it's fine. You can pursue it.
Yeah.
But so men, I kind of feel it's actually pride for you to think if you are telling something to your partner, to your wife, or to your girlfriend, she actually need to offer you maybe a breakdown or a
All the
solution.
answers. No, no, no.
Yeah, because I actually just see that trend and observe it.
Yeah.
I want to ask that, what are the core things you think young men should focus on in their 20s to build? Because I believe 20s is when we build. I don't want to make a mistake. Mistakes are yeah. Because
Yeah.
I've drawn very close to people. I have a professor as a mentor. I have you. I have a 30 plus, 40 plus. I have people like that I just talk to. I talk to. I'm
Yeah.
very, very expressive person. I'll go to you and talk to you. I have no secret. I tell my wife everything because I just believe when I tell people things, they help me, and it has been working for me. So I want to say that there are young people that are listening to this that want to know, okay, what are the core things Pakuma we want them to focus on in growing while growing in
Okay.
their 20s?
Okay, so the truth is, if we get into that, we're not going to leave this podcast today. But the things I want to say is that I want to draw from my own story a bit, and then get into the point I'm going to make. So I finished secondary school, wanted to I actually wanted to do apprentice finish secondary school. I had gotten the result. It was okay. My mom called me, sat me down to say, hey, okay, now you finish secondary school, what do you want to do? And my grandma was there, and my uncle, their last born, was there. She asked that question. I was taken aback. I was like, we didn't even discuss this. So why are they calling community on my behalf to decide? So I just blotted that. I wanted to learn business and all of that. Sort of in Igbo it's called Nwa boy, sort of. And she said, blatantly, no, you must go to school. That was what she said. I was like, oh wow, okay. She was like, nah, you must go to school. If you go to school, finish, and then decide that that's still something you want to do, that's fine, but you must go to school first. I was like, be like, say, you don't already plan me, then bring me here and everything. But, she sort of wanted to hear my perspective, also show me why that might be a different route to go. So from there, I started trying to get into school. I tried Alvan. I got into a school in a polytechnic, a private polytechnic in Lagos. They have, I think it's somewhere in Ikeja, or I can't remember. They have a campus there. Got in very late into the first semester. Did really well that semester, but the place started having a reaccreditation problem. Now I still had to start applying again and all of that. Did a couple of several programs even before this time, just to try and get into the uni, because JAM was different stories and all of that. But eventually I got into uni, and it was a lot of hard work, to the point where I then got into my year one after a pre-degree program, then did finish school and all of that. Now, while going through school, I picked up DJing. Again, that's a different story. So, but I won't bore you with I won't bore you with that. Finished school and figured out that I didn't want to do a lot more. So I wanted to move and go and do NYSA. I served in a bank, then in Land Bank, very, very old bank. I think it got acquired by FCMB, and all of that. Eventually, then finished, and then no jobs. So some banking jobs came. It was sales, but I didn't want to do sales. I was still interested in media thing and all of that. What I'm trying to say, which brings me to the first thing I would say, is if you're in your 20s, be ready to do so much more, because it will sort of build your table to take on more, right? So hard work is not a substitute for they call it, is it smart work or soft work. Hard work is not a substitute for smart work. Smart work is not a substitute for hard work. You need to do both, right? What that means in different scenarios and different cases will differ. You need to, as in your 20s, always pay attention to not what is trending now, because again, you're not building for now. So, for example, if everybody is trying to become a hairdresser right now, you're late to the game. Question you should be asking is, what is the next thing after hairdressing in the next 10 years, maybe in the next 20 years, right? So you need to pay attention to data a lot. How I got into digital marketing was, after having searched for jobs, applied for different jobs, I noticed that every time I went to, God bless Jobberman, went to that platform, or I think Hot Nigerian Jobs, I saw that there were jobs that were listed under marketing, like as a group. So when you have public administrative job, when you have management job, when you have marketing, when you have sales, marketing always had a lot. I used to also confuse it at sales, but when you go into, you start seeing things like content writer, social media manager, those early days, it was just those early level, managing visibility, social media, and all of that. And that data helped me make that decision where, I now started buying courses online, doing free YouTube courses just to learn marketing and all that. So you need to always pay attention to things that are happening, where things are going, not what people are saying, but the big pointers for this sort of paying attention to these things is, where's the government investing, not for the present, but for the future, and not just your local country, but globally, worldwide, where are people investments going, and what are people saying? So you need to read a lot. When I was younger, I used to read Harvard Business Review. Not that I've stopped now, but it was something that I had imbibed a lot, and a lot of things I know about marketing, content writing, even eventually when I got a job in Jobberman, to be able to be the marketing person that did the work I did there, was because I was reading insights from communities that where HR people, where business leaders are, so I could translate some of those insights I had learned, turn them into to the experiences I have, or maybe interviews I've had, and then present those insights as well. So you need to pay attention to. You need to have integrity. You need to understand that everything you're doing presently has consequence, right? So whether you drink, whether you smoke, whether you chase women too much, whether you're telling the truth, whether you're not telling the truth, whether you're a faithful Muslim, whether you're a faithful Christian, whether you are a faithful traditional African person, you need to be a person of integrity, because one of the things that happen is all those things you're taking in would impact you 10, 20 years down the line. Now, if your plate is clean, if those things are integrity that you've built over those periods, they will turn out to rewards for you. You need to pay attention to again, there's a lot of talk about mental health and all of that. So people are a bit more inundated of what is true, what is not true on social media, and it's packing. You need to, in your 20s, understand that you're building to somewhere. Don't focus on what the noise is around now. Nobody makes it in 10 years, Nobody makes it in 10 years. Nobody makes it in 20 years. I've seen people that made it after 40 years. I've seen people that even got to their goals after 50 years. What that means will differ for different people based on maybe the kind of work they've put in, where the climate of the season is, the kind of maybe background that they have. Because again, we have privileges as human beings. Some of us don't, in fact, everybody has a certain level of privilege. It's to say, what is your level of privilege? You can't understand that you come from a very humble background and then be expecting certain things that privileges that you lack to be able to become a benefit for you in future. Rather, what you can do is to say, what are the things I can build to sort of buffer myself in this area, and what are the relationships, what are the things I need to learn, what are the skills, so that if people bring you into their circle to be able to offer value, you'll be able to offer value. I think that also in your 20s, you need to be a person of value. You need to always ask question of, what can I do? What can I learn? Yes, you should get paid. You should earn money. Obviously, you have a need to keep yourself, especially when, you come from a really humble background as well. That is important. But also, what are the skills that you're developing? What are the things that you're putting in, you're chugging in, you're putting in that you couldn't do earlier? You not that you cannot do, but you might not be able to have all the chances and time to be able to do later in your life. Because the truth is this: when we get old, we get really busy. If you have a girlfriend or you get married, that's someone that is taking a portion of your time. If you have work 9 to 5, probably you have to travel. That's taking a couple of your time. Now, to start giving into self-development is no longer, you don't have all the maybe 5 hours that you have. Now, if you want to sleep at night, maybe you need to cuddle your madam in bed a couple more hours than if it was just you, if you just come out cloth, stand up, So there's a lot of more responsibilities on you. So in your 20s, don't listen to noise. Build for value, constantly build for value, and just pay attention of what is happening out there. I feel those are some of the things that I say that would help the individual.
How did you pick mentors when you were in your 20s?
So to be honest, I actively didn't pick mentors. And it's not like I didn't know those people were my mentors, but back in the day, what mentorship is and what it is now is different, right? I can be 5 hours from across the world and be mentoring someone that is probably 5 hours across from me because of access, because of social media. We can schedule calls and have like 10-20 minutes catch up and share insights on all of that. And all of that. There's a proud mind. I know Tony, who is one of the best. There's so many of them, but Tony has done a fantastic, amazing job at trying to build himself. He's still building himself. So how I picked mentors was basically I look at people and observe what are they doing. What are the values that they're building at, right? So that's one. I was lucky that when I was really serving, there's this woman, Joy Osazua, God bless her. So she took me in like one of our children. This woman used to buy us food as coppers every afternoon and all of that. But she taught me a lot about the professional life, about hard work, about doing the work and never trying to escape it. If you're supposed to make 20 calls or 15 calls in a day and other people are doing 5 because they don't have, try and do 30 because at the end of the day, you've expanded your capacity, you've expanded your opportunity to be able to reach more goals than trying to cut it down. I also looked at around church and around people that were maybe 1 or 2 people older than me. What are the things they're reading? What are the things that they're using? And I think that at the age of me being a young man was when internet started really developing a lot. So you could access to read a lot of things online, watch a couple of interviews. I was a TEDx junkie at a certain point in my life. I used to watch every upstage TEDx and all of that. There were certain, books that I used to read and all of that. So I found people that were both far and close, and then sort of modeled things that they've done than from a place of developing hands-on skills. One of the things I used was peers, people that were around me. So this thing, how can you teach me to learn those things? So there's some of the strategies I leveraged around mentorship back in the day.
Yeah. I wanted to mention those books.
I'm not ready for this. There's so many, but I think okay. Hold on. Let me just see if I can find any list. Mm-hmm. But I think that one book that anybody that is listening to me should read is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. That's one book. But again, not to sound religious, I think that if you're a Christian, give it a go. Read your Bible. There's a lot of insights about life that is in the Bible. I'm not telling you to be religious, to say this pastor is not wrong, this pastor is not right. That's fine, right? One of the things I believe is that the Bible is one of the most intelligent book that has ever existed. If it's not the best, it's definitely top 2, top 3, right? It's a guidebook for life. There's wisdom on relationships there's wisdom on your mental illnesses there's wisdom of building confidence there's wisdom about building integrity there's wisdom about building riches, working hard and working smart. There's wisdom about paying attention to the times that you're in, whatever time and season that you're in, the insights for you to be able to navigate that. There's insights about building very meaningful business relationships. There's insights about business and building a career. And then there's a couple more books. I think I've also. There's this book, I'm trying to remember the name now, that is around the whole thing about the mafia and crime family. I mean, not that you're trying to become a crime person, but the truth is that for those people to build themselves and become powerhouses, they actually did work hard at doing the wrong things, So it goes to show you that there's no middle ground. If you want to achieve what you want to achieve, whether on the bad side of life or on the side of life where you have integrity, you must be insanely good and smart at what you're doing.
Yes, becoming the best of the best. There's something that actually gripped me recently. I kind of just following this guy David Goggins, and then I just stumbled on his book. I just bought the book. Let me just read it. And the book gripped me like it's holding my throat. I was like, what is this? No book I've ever gripped. None. Even one of my favorite books, which is Preface for Life by Jonathan Peterson, did not grip that. So David Goggins actually showed me the one of the things I've known, yes, but it showed me that the power of consistency.
Yes.
It showed me the power of consistency. That okay, you don't know it. He said you always say this thing that I always remember in my head. You don't know it, you read it, you don't understand it. Read it again, read it again, read it again, read it again, and again and again, and then right there you get it. And I kind of flash back in my life like, okay, how did I do it? How am I doing these things? It's all about going back again, regardless of the amount of no's or rejections or anything, which is just how life is. Just 1 year, and then you are right there. So it kind of taught me a whole lot of perspective about being about masculinity generally, because I got to understand that as a leader, one of the things I understand about Navy SEALs is that they are out there to take care of themselves.
Yep,
they are ready to die for themselves. It's because when they want to die, if there are about 4 SEALs and then one has to die for the others to live, you will see the 4 of them will be fighting that it will be they will be fighting out to be the person to die. Yes, it gave me a whole new perspective about leadership and masculinity compared to what it's out there today. I don't know what you want to say about masculinity. What do you think young men are getting wrong about it?
So the idea of masculinity, or because I think that there's masculinity for there to be toxic masculinity, but I think that the conversation these days is focused on toxic masculinity. Everybody wants to bash the other gender, or do stuff and really consider themselves. There's a song I like by Meek Mill. It's called Respect the Game. There's a verse from there that says, if you don't feed your wolves, they would put you on the menu. I think that being a man doesn't have to be toxic. Whether you're in control, whether you're in a leadership control or not. My friend Damola, friend of over 20 years now. We got to know via my cousin from when we were in Egbeda. He said something. He says that he doesn't lead you from being in front. He leads you from saying, it's subtle. It's like, oh, really? It can be like this, or it can be like this. We are human beings, and you have a thinking mind. Obviously, you would figure out and make a decision. Now, if you fail at that decision, you've learned from it. If you do it well, you've done something. I think that the thing about any young man trying to focus on masculinity is, I would say it's misplaced priority. You are a man already. You don't have to prove anything about being a man or being a masculine man, right? Kevin Hart will say, stay on your financial lane. You need to always understand as a man that you need to stay on your financial lane. What works for whoever is their champion for masculinity, because I don't like dropping those names. They don't fit into my worldview. Whoever is that would not work for you. They have certain privileges that you don't have, right? They frame themselves in certain way because, again, they're selling something, and that is one of the things. So it's something that helps them attract the pack that they want to sell to. You would be gullible to eat it all up in and then carry on that lifestyle and not have maybe the work ethic, the background, the financing to back it up. The best way to live your life as a man is to say, hey, what is my environment as it is now? What will my environment be as it is tomorrow? What is the work that is required of me, the integrity that is required of me, the friendships that is required of me, for me to be able to go from that point A of where it is now to point B. Once you realize what these things are, what you can do is start focusing on who are the right people I need, whether it's men, whether it's a woman, whether it's the kind of girlfriend that you want to choose, begins to determine the choices that you make, begins to determine how you treat people, because you know that there's something beyond there. It's not about being, whether you're a good masculine man or you're a toxic masculine man. Life is about none of these things. It's about, because there's actually consequence for every action or inaction that we take as human beings. If you treat people right, even as a man, and they don't treat you right, eventually they will get to where they needed that treating right and it no longer exists. Even if it exists, they will be experiencing it in a different way. So as young men, I would say, don't pay attention to all of these things. Don't try to imbibe all of these things. What you need is, you need to be able to work hard. You need to be able to understand where the trends of life is going. You need to be able to have integrity. You need to be able to someone that is constantly learning to grow, whether you're trying to become a tech bro or you're trying to go the traditional brick and mortar way of, building things that can help you become an independent man. Whether you're in university learning, burning those candles at night, and some people are paying lecturers, they might get an A, you might get your B, but when you get in real world settings, you have the academic knowledge, and then you get the real real world skills to be able to thrive. Life is about thriving. It's not about trying to imbibe certain tendencies that where you're being toxic to your fellow human, again, whether they are a man, whether they are a woman. These things don't help you. The constant theme around being the best version of yourself is treating people with the best self, because if you can treat yourself great, you can treat the next man great. It creates an environment for people to treat you great. Even, yes, there will be people that won't treat you treat you fine. That's fine, but it creates an environment and chances that you land in a place where more people respect how you are, how you value yourself, and treat them right. Right. It creates an environment where people recommend you to know that this person is not a shit show. He's not someone that treats people with disdain. He's not a selfish individual, and all of that. He's someone that imbibes love, he's someone that imbibes respect for people. He's someone that, you can be hard-fisted. You can be someone that is upright, that will tolerate certain nonsense and still be someone that treats people with respect, treats people, with the best deal or friendliness. In fact, in my experience, the best masculine men I know are the ones that are these things. You can do them. You feel that they are not capable. They are not. The day they stand up and treat, lack of a better word, treat your in quote fuck up, right? The whole world will hear it, because everywhere would be rumbling, So people need to step back and actually, as young men, and generally as young people, and forget the trends of life that are happening now. Those trends that are fleeting, those trends that are not, that are not lasting, that are not evergreen, and build at things that can help them later in life. Building relationships, treating people decently, being someone of integrity, building their own personal confidence. Yes, when something, maybe because you've asked your young man, you've asked a babe out and she says no, and if you feel it's a slight on you as a man, no, it's not. It's not. Yes, her saying no, you're missing out something from her building that relationship, and she's missing out something from you, whatever it is that you can offer her. Go on, move on with your life, do something else, get better. It's not the end of the world, at the end of the day. So the whole conversation around masculinity, toxic masculinity, I think that as a young man, there are more values in life that you can approach life with that can help you on a longer time. And at the end of the day, those will be the things that matter. Those will be things where you're called, to a certain table, you're called into certain spaces. And I think that's what you should focus on building towards.
Definitely. Focusing on yourself and building yourself.
Yeah.
Ignoring the noise.
Yes.
One of those things that I actually had in my left hand, I don't want to use it to eat, is the fact that I think I learned it 2 years ago when I was just trying to get myself and then building myself, was the fact that I'm responsible for any decision I make. I kind of get into a relationship when I was in school with my ex, and then he went downhill, and then I was on the other side of begging for about 8 months. It's a whole learning process for me. And after, one of the things that actually freed me from the whole nonsense was the fact that I stopped blaming her. Before, when the whole thing started, I was like, oh, she broke my heart, she did this. I was in that shackles till like 8 months. I was in the shackles. But the day I kind of free was when I started blaming myself. The fact that, oh, yes, she did it. Whatever it is, I picked her. I chose her among every other people. She has to do me. If I have chosen another person, then I will not be facing this kind of thing. So I think people need to understand that you are responsible for whatever.
Yeah. We play a role in all of these things, to be honest. Whether it is a good role or a bad role, you play the role. So the best thing is to understand that, this was the shit show. What can I learn from it? What is the best possible steps for me? What are the pointers of things I need to avoid? And need to prepare myself to be better if this thing happens. Maybe in that case, if it was a reconciled relationship again, or in a different case where you're building elsewhere, but shutting, your future. I always tell people that shutting your future experiences down because of a path that you went down on, doesn't really make sense to me. But again, people are who they are. They have the choices that they make. But like you said, very, very, very important to point out that yes, you played a role. The other person played a role, and yeah, you were where you were now.
Yeah, learn from it and move on. Learn from it and move
Absolutely.
on. I want to talking about relationship. I actually would like if you can delve into how you should actually pick your partner, and then I know it's kind of personal, kind of relative to people how you decide whatever partner you
Yeah.
want. But I want you to think about, okay, what's the general ground rule, what's the general ground process, and then how to create that environment. Because you have said it on this podcast, and I understood that the fact that if somebody is not opening up to you, it means maybe they don't feel safe, maybe they don't
Yep.
feel safe.
Yeah.
So how do you
Yeah.
create that environment, and then we move to the next thing?
This is a master class of toasting or whatever it is. Okay, so I think that one of the guiding principles that has always guided me, and I think I've posted this online before. So there were some years ago. I was in this group of men, very older Igbo men. They were having conversations about their wives. They married, and of all of them, the beauty around it is that they are experiencing marriage in different way. Now, one thing that the only person that had regrets in that group was someone that married someone slightly younger than them. And that was coming from a place of, it's like everything is left with him. She's not obviously at the certain stage in life where he is, and all of that, and that was really depressing. And these other guys older, they married women that were in their age range. That's about two of them in that group during that conversation. Their wives were their age mates. I think there was another one that the wife was older. When they were sharing insights, right, it made me understand that one of the mistakes that as a young man or even a young lady building for a relationship is, especially when it's not something that is fleeting that you're building, and again, someone that's listening to this might say, oh, okay, I'm just doing this one. When I get there, I will pick a serious one. No, you won't. If you've made that mistake once, you've made that mistake twice, you're going to continue likely making that mistake. Now, one of the things that they shared that really stood out for me was that the ones that had it better made their choices based on not where they were in life. They made their choices where they can go, right? They can become super rich tomorrow. They can move to a certain, space, a certain country, a certain location. They can build a certain business. They can be in a certain space and all of that. And the person that they built would still be appropriate for them, right? Now, so what that means is that when picking a relationship, right, you're not picking to date someone for others. So you're not dating someone for the attraction of others, right? And someone listening would say, oh, but I want my wife to be always, looking peng and all of that. Yes, for a man and a woman to look peng, they can always look peng when there's money, right? Everything can be cleaned up. The attires can be cleaned up, the hair can be redone. Even though I'm not an advocate for making for some kind of surgeries that is going around these days, if you don't have beard as a man now, they can fix beard for you, and in fact it will grow out naturally. If you're losing hair, if you make some kind of money and travel to Turkey, you can get your hair fixed, and then your hair will start growing. You're no longer my bald uncles back in the day that only hair used to grow one line of the back of their hair. You're a lady and maybe your nose is somehow, they can get it fixed. Let's forget about the breast and the buttocks one and the shape and everything that is done now, right? People need to build for where they are going, and we're picking someone. It's not just about and this is I'm not also talking about physical beauty. So you're not building for people to be to admire what you have, and it looks like a flex for you, either as a man or as the girl. But you need to build for where you're going. When the curtains are closed and you're inside your house, you're enjoying what you both have, right? You need to build to a place where you need to hold yourself accountable to a certain sense. So you need to do very maybe stressful things and make very stressful decisions, and that person can still build with you. You need to build where you have, to make certain life decisions, values are aligned to make certain decisions. For some people, they will start picking that they want to pick someone that is from their culture. I really don't see that as a metric of success. They want to pick someone that likes all the things that they like. I really personally don't see that as a metric of success. In fact, when you can respect the differences between two people, when two people can respect the differences between themselves, I see that they can highly, even go further in so many examples I've seen. So where, Madam likes XYZ, or guy likes XYZ, or the young man that is dating likes XYZ, she likes XYZ. Can they in their likings accommodate you, and can you in your likings accommodate them, and continue to learn those things that they like, and build towards that. Obviously, if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, certain things from a cultural perspective might come to play. But one of the ultimate things I tell people is, when picking someone, make sure it's for you. Make sure it's where you are, present, future, and beyond the future. And if you don't know what that future is, it's also okay, because one thing about the future is constantly changing. But one thing that wouldn't change with the future is your values. If you're a person of integrity, in the future you should and can continue to be a person of integrity. If you're a person that is loving, open arms, always open to learning and communicating, in the future you would always be someone that is learning and communicating and learning to improve that communication. If you're someone that is really humble, that doesn't learn, let things get to your head. Yes, all of us get scoring for head. Some buttons can lose sometimes, but more consistently, like we had said earlier, you're someone that has that value where you're calm, you're humble, you give the other person their due, and they give you your due. You can always be that person. Every other thing can change, where you would live, how your face looks, how your broad shoulders will mature, maybe because you started going to the gym and building your flat ass or building your shape as a woman. All of that constant can obviously change based on the work that you do in those areas, from all of that. But the value system that is at the core of being a great human being, being a decent human being, being someone that is lovable, that is understandable, that can take lessons, that can when the partner says, oh, this is wrong, both of you can argue about it, but you arrive at the place where you're wrong and you accept that wrong, and then it's not that it is humbling. And when you're the person that is also telling it to this person, it's not like you're humbling them, it's that you want them to grow, you want them, and sometimes they might take them time to really learn those things. You're also patient enough for you to continue to communicate in the way that helps them grow into that person. Will be some of the things I will point out from a value system point of view for anyone that is looking for to make such life choices.
Thank you so much, Princewill. I'm just
Thank
here
you.
taking those things in.
Thank you.
How to pen down some things that I actually need for myself personally, and that's my aim of actually starting this podcast. I actually just want to learn, because I'm where I am. I'm just starting, so I just feel as I'm learning, why not allow more people learn? Thank you so much for these things.
Thank you.
One of the things I would like to discuss before we wrap this up is disputes, how people resolve disputes. I actually think that's one area that young people are getting it wrong. We run away from conflict, we run away from friction, whereas friction is what brings out the best in us. If you see guys, even men that are calling themselves guys don't have issue. You see them whenever there's friction, it breaks away. That's why people don't have very long friendship. And then,
friendship, yeah.
I don't know what you want to say about friction.
Disagreements are okay, right? Shouting at each other is okay, but what isn't okay is, after all of that is done, So again, one of the great hallmarks of being a good communicator isn't avoiding friction. Friction is okay. Conflict is okay. Actually have conflict. If it's in friendship, it will spice up your respect for from a man to man relationship. After that conflict, everybody knows that, oh, more you fuck up, do well. It will spice it up, and you know that this bond as bros, we trust each other. Yes, we messed up, but we trust each other. We can learn from it, right? If it's with your relationship, it might be an opportunity for you to, have really great good time, kiss up and, enjoy yourself, right? But something that is really important is not to run from conflict, because if you do, you'll find yourself in a place of resentment, and resentment is really terrible for friendships or relationship, right? Once you're in a place of resentment, it goes downhill from there, right? So one of the things you need to do is, in conflict, try not to be, or whether you're the person or the other person, try not to be that person that says something that is an attack on the individual. Sometimes as a human being, you can't go overboard, you can't mistake it, but sincerely apologize and learn from it. But don't run away from conflict. Quarrel, disagree, make up, and then learn from it, right? Where you're wrong, because sometimes you might be the person quarreling, you might even be the person that is wrong and the other person that is right. It might even be in that process of that quarrel that you've now done something that is even a weightier matter than what was the quarrel at hand. So you need to constantly learn how to, disagree gracefully, have a different opinion. I remember several years ago, while me and my wife were dating, we went to a friend's house and we were watching this movie, and they were all sidelined to one side, having that this person should have acted like this person. Me, I agree with them. I was the only person that was different. We argue and argue and argue, So then the next week I saw my friend. She said, he said that there was something that really stood out for our relationship for him that happened that day, that he noticed how I had a different perspective. We were arguing that day. We argued, right? They were with them on that side. I had a different opinion about what should have happened, and so we were like arguing back and forth. He said, even with all of that, it didn't change the dynamic of, after that conversation went down, we're still lovey-dovey. That he has seen relationships where, in that kind of situation, either the man or the woman dare not be on the different side of the argument. And all. I'm like, what the hell? We're two different human beings. We come from two different backgrounds, so have two different perspectives. We can disagree. In fact, even at the end of disagreement, you might not even agree on what is right or what is wrong. But that shouldn't be something that takes away the beauty of what you have, because that time that you've disagreed on and never agreed on what is right or what is wrong, you could see that a couple of months later, it might be 4-5 months, it might be 1 year later, because you've disagreed, still continue to build yourself and continue to go, you will find out in full that this thing they were saying, because of a new experience that you've had, they were actually right, and it will grow your commitment to that person. It will grow your respect for that person. It's just like how someone gives you advice. You go to them, they give you advice, it works. You go to them, they give you advice, it works. You go to them, they give you advice one day, it doesn't work. But you learned something from that advice that didn't work, and it continues to build it. So that's how I would say it is. As a human being, never run away from conflict, because the only thing that it builds in you is resentment, and resentment isn't really great for relationships. It's not great for friendship, because it continues to go downhill, and then one day all the things that have been kept within explodes in a way that is something that both individuals can then not walk back from. If someone does you something, confront it. You would learn why they did it. You learn why they behave that way, and then if it's something that needs an apology, they should apologize. If it's something that you need to apologize to them for confronting them wrongly for the wrong thing, you need to apologize. But nobody should take it, for bad. We're all learning on that, and that's how we can grow as individuals in a relationship.
Definitely. I was saying if I leave Princewell here, Princewell will just do 3 hours.
Yeah.
this,
Always happy to speak to you.
this is so insightful. Thank you so much. I mean, I actually always go back to the message you gave to me after my wedding. I always go back to read it. That's how I do. Most of the time I have conversation with my mentors, I always go back and then I will read it again and then I will read it again because I just believe once somebody gives you insight, they give you a juice, you try to juice it. That's why I don't read one book at a time. One book.
Yeah.
I read like 3 times, 4 times, and I will be coming back to this podcast. So as I'm wrapping this up, I always ask my guests some kind of fun questions, this or
Okay.
that, and then you just go straight. No time to think about it. Actually, are you ready?
Okay. Yep.
Okay, let's go there with Princewill. Agriculture or engineering?
Agriculture.
UK or US?
UK.
Emails or blogs?
Emails.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Dr. Martin Luther King or Malcolm X?
Martin Luther King. Yes.
Nnamdi Azikiwe or Awolowo?
Awolowo.
Okay, Egusi or Ofe
Jesus Christ. Okay. Ofaku.
Okay. Twitter or Instagram?
Definitely Twitter. Nah.
Book or podcast?
Both.
Mandela or Obama?
Nah, Mandela. Come on.
Okay.
Man.
There you have it, guys. Please love Mandela. And the speak of Ofaku over Egusi.
Yeah. Egusi is all over the place. Ofaku is a dish that is celebratory. If someone brings out Ofaku for you, because the process of making it, no. Yeah.
Okay, what will you leave us with, Princewill?
Okay, I would leave anyone listening to this to remember that you are a project, and as a project is always being built, it's always being developed, and who is that person building it? It's yourself. It's the influences that you let in, it's the influences that you don't let in. You need to be very aware of yourself, of your environment, of where things are right now and where you want to go. You need to understand, like Kola has said here, that consistency, it's really, really important. It is the really small things that we do every day that amount to so much. What is your routine to waking up? What are you eating right now as a young person? What are you taking in? It's not about what is populist, in life. So many times across history, what is populist has been proven to be wrong. Niche down, focus on building in the area, whether it is career, whether it's business, that you've identified that wants to be your part. Do your best work, respect people, build your network, build intentionally, not because you want to get something from people, but you just want to build relationship. Every other thing would come to pass. Put your name before every other thing. It might look like a fleeting advice, but integrity will take you far. Being someone that can put your head down and do the work. There's something I used to say, you might be smarter than me, but this thing, you cannot outwork me. If we have to do 7 hours at night, you won't find me not being able to do 7 or 8 hours at night. Focus on your physical health as much as you focus on your mental health. It is so important. Just value people regardless of how they treat you. Value people, and with valuing people, also value yourself, because if you're valuing them and they are obviously not treating you right, yes, valuing yourself will help you remove yourself from that environment. Never stop learning, keep learning, keep growing, and being the best version of yourself. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to share from a bit of my couple of years of experience being here on planet Earth. Yeah, see you at the top and keep going up.
There you have it, guys. See you at the top. Keep learning. Thank you so much. I'll see you some other time on Get Your Life Together podcast. Bye for now.
Bye.